So coming aboard LRA is always an exciting time. I never really know exactly what I'm going to do. I've got a fair idea, but I tend to make it up as I go along. Of course, the first thing onto the boat, being a non-drinker, is a good steady supply of Diet Coke. It's all about getting the priorities right, ladies and gentlemen. So in today's adventure, we're going to head around the corner into the Parramatta River. As you can see the big blue arrow there, we're going to start and head up under the Gladesville Bridge, go all the way up to the Ryde Bridge, turn around and come back. The Gladesville Bridge, heritage listed, believe it or not, was completed in 1964. It joins the suburb of Huntley on its northern bank and Drummoyne on its southern bank. It is quite steep. It's as steep as it looks when you're driving in the car, and it is quite iconic, really. So as we approach the bridge here, perspective makes it look like I'm maybe not going to squeeze under the bridge with my mast. Let me assure you that I could probably put another mast on the top of this one and we'd still get under. There's lots and lots of height. As we approach the locality of Henley is the Henry Searle Monument. This is not at all what you'd expect to find in the middle of the river. Henry Searle was a world champion sculler in 1888 and 1889. Unfortunately, died very young, the age of 23, from typhoid after racing in England. He came home and caught typhoid on the ship on the way back. Searle was from Grafton and was known as the Clarence Comet. Apparently a mild-mannered and friendly fellow, he was incredibly famous in a time when sculling was a very, very popular sport in New South Wales. Personally, I've never understood why people want to go backwards in a boat. I recently read an article where a descendant of Searle, well certainly the Searle family, has actually bought one of the houses adjacent so he can keep an eye on it. Almost completely opposite the Searle Monument is Abbotsford Bay, and here we find Abbotsford House, built by Sir Arthur Enwick about 1897, and strangely the Cadbury factory was built in 1920 And the house was used as an admin block, as you can see in this horrendous photograph. Thankfully, the Cadbury factory, although it smelt nice, was closed down in 1991, and the suburb was reclaimed as residential. There's a sympathetic housing development around Abbotsford House, which is now once again privately owned. Sydney Harbour, and the Parramatta River in particular, has an industrial past, and the river itself was so polluted that the government had to step in, and in 1970 the Clean Waters Act started to ring the death knell for polluting companies and factories. Most of the riverfront land that was formerly inhabited by factories is now inhabited by people. There are lots and lots of residential developments along the Parramatta River, and whether you love them or hate them, it's got to be a step in the right direction. So I was cruising up the river looking at all the new residential developments when I came across a real oddity. And that's a punt. This is the Putney Punt, and this runs every day, all day, back and forth across the river. You can see here that I'm having to stop for it and let it pass. On the southern bank of the river, just before you get to the Rye Bridge, is the Thomas Walker Convalescent Hospital, now known as Rivendell. Thomas Walker left the money for the building and upkeep of this hospital in his will when he died in the 1880s. The hospital was officially opened in 1893. The Watergate is heritage listed and is believed to be the only one of its type in Australia. Thomas Walker's estate, Yarrallah, is on the peninsula just to the east of the convalescent hospital. He lived there until his death in the 1880s, and then subsequently his daughter Dame Edith lived there until her death in 1937. Being both philanthropists, Dame Edith left the estate to several charities in the Sydney area. On the northern banks of the river are some rather large boat sheds, and these were formerly the Halverson boat sheds, where the Halverson family built some of the most beautiful cruises that this country has ever seen. Families in the 60s, 70s and even the 80s had the opportunity to hire one of the Halverson fleet from their Bobbin Head Marina and enjoy a family holiday afloat. I certainly did, and I'll never forget it. the end of the journey today is the Ryde Bridge, also known as Earls Point Bridge. Finished in 1935, used to be able to open, hasn't opened since the 80s. The concrete bridge that also crosses the river here was completed in 1988.
Hi, it's Tony from Sailing LRA. Here's some extra footage that I took the day after I travelled up the Parramatta River. It kind of ties in some of the later images in the video. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, yesterday when I was in the boat, I forgot to take some pictures of the Yarra estate. I hope that's pronounced correctly. So I thought on my way home I might head down to this nature walk and take some pictures. I thought that was going to be a little bit more difficult. I thought I was going to have to take some pictures from afar, but no. I ended up taking very limited film or footage of the house because when I got a bit closer there was a sign asking people not to get too close, so I respected that, took my film and my photographs and was on my way.